So the one lesson from this beautiful story is we can be different. We can have, somebody have different religion than yours. Instead of imposing the freedom of religion, somebody can have worship the Lord that they choose. It's their own will. And for those young men running away with their life because they didn't want to get killed, because who they worship. So God protected them simply by giving them sleep. With sleep, they slept over 300 years. This is how it says in the Quran. And God protected them this way. And this is how we're asking God to protect us from anyone who's harming us. And I want to pass it on microphone to Abdullahi, who will continue for us. But one conclusion I want to add to this is how we want today, as we are remembering and as we are reflecting what's happening around the world and what's happening in our home here. Our differences shouldn't be causing a problem, and one shouldn't be attacking another because they are different, because they worship different. And this is, in the past, in the history, we had people who did this, but those transgressors, they didn't last long. And I am so grateful for you to come, and I will pass back to Dr.
Thank you, Mohammed. Sometimes, as you watch the news, you might hear a lot of negativity. You might see things that you wish you didn't see it, or you regret that you read this news or saw. But what I think is important is to highlight all the positive things that are happening, to share all the good work people are doing. I want to, throughout the event today, I'm going to be highlighting these things. I'm sort of going to act as like the news, the good news. All right? I'll start it out with, a month ago or so now, we've had some harassments that we faced here in this mosque. A group of neighbors organized themselves, and without no one asking them or paying them or convincing them, they decided to come to a Friday prayer and stand in front of the worshipers and welcome them as they come to pray. This is a contrast. This is an opposite to what happened this past Friday. So I want to recognize neighbors together, and all those volunteers that did that. Please give them a hand. Now, from the time that the bombing happened, we have sort of, people can say we became a little bit more active than usual. And I want to recognize an organization, Isaiah, for partnering us with us so that we can claim our voice as Muslims here in Minnesota. We've created an organization or a partner within a department, you could say, that is called the Muslim Coalition. And I want to welcome now Sheikh Mohammed Mursal, who is the chairman of IANA, which is an umbrella organization, national umbrella organization, over 30 mosques, to share with us a statement as the Muslim Coalition of Isaiah. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. My name is Imam Muhammad Mursal. I am the Imam of Masjid Al-Ihsan Islamic Center of St. Paul, Minnesota. And I am also the chairman of Ayana Islamic Association of North America. Our hearts and souls are profoundly horrified and troubled by the terrorist attack that killed 49 Muslims in New Zealand. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Indeed, to Allah we belong, and to Him we return. We ask Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept them, shuhada, and elevate them in Jannah, and give glad tidings and patience to their families. Ameen. My dear brothers, sisters, friends, and fellow citizens, thank you for all attending for this event of solidarity with Muslims. But let me tell you, while today's tragedy may have occurred in New Zealand, but hate have no boundaries. Islamophobia is real and has real implications. What happened in New Zealand is a proof of Islamophobic impacts in today's society. While we are grieving and expressing our sadness and sorrow, we must dig deeper the root cause of Islamophobia. The study shows that almost 1/3 of the Muslims living in the United States of America have reported bullying of their kids in schools because of their faith. And hate crimes went up, particularly Muslim women who fear for their safety. A couple days ago, we had a press conference at our state capital in Minnesota about how Muslim Minnesotans are directly harmed when members of our legislatures and some media channels point finger, use dark whistles, and perpetuate Islamophobia in our state. Let us take seriously the consequences of characterizing the entire community for political purpose. As a Muslims, we are committed to partner with our neighbors, friends, and faith community to end Islamophobia and encounter white supremacy and all forms of bigotry, racism, and xenophobia, both here and abroad. Thank you.
Thank you, friends. Again, the good news tells you our theme seems to be Friday prayer now and then. As you know, when there is a hate, it does not just appear out of nowhere. It comes from misinformation, and it comes from fear, and it comes from a sort of arrogance of someone thinking, I am better than this person. Now, I would like to recognize one of our neighbors. And this neighbor, when it's really cold, as you know here in Minnesota, it gets really cold and slippery, right? Sometimes I will see him out there shoveling, clearing the path for worshipers as they come to worship for Friday prayer. It is someone that we cannot keep up with the good work that he's doing, that we feel guilty. And I want to recognize our neighbor, Jim. And I don't want to slaughter my name. I know a lot of people slaughter my name. My last name, She. Is that correct? Close enough. Thank you. I always call him Jim. Brothers and sisters, friends and neighbors, Jim is our superhero. He is the neighbor that we can always count on, that shows us what neighbor really needs. I would like to welcome Jim to the stage to give us a couple of remarks.
When I first heard the news about New Zealand, I had the same feelings that I had the morning of Ashir. Feelings of anger, sadness, frustration. And I think about, why do we allow such things to happen? Why can they happen? We have differences. We have different political views. But what difference does it make? We have different religions. But what difference does it make? We root with different sport teams. But again, what difference does it make? One of our fundamental rights is to be able to choose what we want to accept and what we want to believe. The greatest sin against humanity is when we deny another person that fundamental right to choose and to live their choices in safety and security. And we need to stand together, always, in our differences, and make sure that the rights to choose and live in safety and security are never, ever infringed upon.
Thank you, Jim. I just want to let you guys know that when we were choosing, or when we were talking about the invited list, Jim was first on the list. Next, I would like to welcome to the stage Imam Asad Zaman, who is the Executive Director of Muslim American Society. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for coming here on this solidarity event. I have three main agenda items that I need to talk about, which were just handed to me like 60 seconds ago. The first is I need to acknowledge all the elected officials and the officials who are here. So in no particular order, I would like to, in the order they're sitting, I would like to actually do it all time. If I can ask elected officials to just raise their hands or stand up so we can acknowledge them. Just stand up. Please. story. And also then I have to talk a little bit about, apparently I have to give all of you homework. So let me tell you the Darul Farooq story from my perspective. So I woke up in the morning one day, I finished my morning prayers, I went to the bathroom, I came out, I saw a text message, and it was a text message from Imam Muhammad, who said, "Brother, can you come over? We're doing bomb." It's not like a normal message. People don't normally get messages like that. Bomb. So I called him. What do you mean bomb? Something was the bomb? I said, no, there was a bomb. The FBI is here. The fire truck. So I'm like, give me 20 minutes, I'll be there. So I quickly change, I show up, and he was dressed very casually. I remember the first thing I said to him, you need to go home right now and change, you're going to be on the news. I've been through a few media firestorms before him. He was not believing me. I literally had to drive him to his house and he need to change. It was significant to me that the first press conference that was done by law enforcement. The first press conference that was done by the law enforcement, and the advice that was given to them was, don't talk about it, we will explain what happened to everybody. And they spoke, they said, we don't know what happened, there was an incident, there was a fire, and they answered 2-3 questions, they finished the press conference. And as they finished the press conference, I blurted out, we're doing our own press conference in 30 minutes. And I remember some of them turned to each other and who's that guy? We realized the importance of controlling our own narrative. See, from an immigrant Muslim perspective, this is of course different for our African American and Caucasian Muslim brothers and sisters. But in an immigrant Muslim perspective, the countries most of us come from, people who do politics disappear. They die. So for that reason, the average immigrant Muslim wants nothing to do with politics. Listen, I just got here, I'm safe, leave me alone. So the resistance to doing or engaging in political work is ingrained over centuries of forced disappearances. So this bombing was a wake-up call for the Muslim community, including Darul Farooq. And we have no choice except to engage in our political system. We partnered with Isaiah. We literally formed a brand new thing called the Muslim Coalition of Isaiah, which is being it up. Literally, the conversation was like, listen, I know you are a congregation of 200 churches, but here we have 24 mosques. Let's talk. And much to their credit, that was a very positive conversation. So this is the short version of the Darul Farooq story. Now I want to tell you, I want to give everybody homework. So I'm going to read out to you, and let me tell you what your homework will be after I read this out to you. There's something called the 10 stages of genocide. I want everybody here to understand it. Stage number 1 is classification, when people are divided between us and them. We are the good ones, they are the bad ones. We are the safe ones, they are the unsafe ones. Those are the criminals, we are the law-abiding people. the first stage. Stage number 2 is when you have registration and symbolization. Okay, so a historical concept that almost everybody can understand is that the Jewish community were forced in Europe to wear yellow stars. That's a way of identification on that classification. The good one, the bad ones. Third step is discrimination, when laws are passed that says this for these people and those for those people. Just in case you are wondering, America is in stage 3 or 4 right now. These 3 things have already happened. Stage 4 is dehumanization. When the them is compared to vermin, to cockroaches, to animals. When a person, human beings are dehumanized. 5, when the government formalizes and creates an organization to manage that discrimination. So that has happened in other countries, hasn't happened yet here. And I use the word yet. Stage number 6 is polarization. The whole society and the entire narrative, all the media, everybody is talking about this division. Step number 7 is preparation. Step number 8 is persecution. Step number 9 is extermination. And step number 10 is denial. This did not happen. They're making it up. The Holocaust did not happen. That's step number 10. It is important for everybody, for Muslims and non-Muslims alike, to understand these 10 steps. And everybody has homework. When these steps happen in front of you, you have an affirmative obligation to call it out. No, not on my watch. Thank you.
Thank you, Imam Asad. The next person I'm calling, I just wanted to give you a background. When I first heard the news, I know what a lot of my friends were thinking. There's going to be a Muslim in Congress now. It actually happened. A lot of our community members, elders, they were feeling we finally have a voice that can understand us. We finally have a voice that can bring us together. Friends, brothers and sisters, everyone, please help me welcome Attorney General Keith Ellison.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And for everyone of other faiths, all that means is that we're really happy to be here. It means welcome, it means peace be unto you. And I want to just let you know your presence in this gym today is really important. Because there are people who are really nervous and very concerned. And your physical body in this space signals that you care. And that's a big deal. I want you to know that it is not easy explaining to your children why somebody is shoot or kill or bomb someone like them in worship. It's complicated. I got a touch in my heart when I saw my son, Councilmember Ellison's tweet yesterday talking about how he grew up in Master Denor, and never before have we ever thought about safety, and now we have to. When I walked in this room today, I got a big bear hug from a friend. His name is Rabbi Lash. And all he said to me is, here we are again. Where you at, Rabbi? He's around here. I knew exactly what he meant. You knew exactly what I meant. Because it was no more than 4 months ago in Pittsburgh at the Tree of Life Synagogue, worshipers, just like the folks in Christ Church, killed because of who they were. Similar again to the Sikh community killed in Milwaukee. Not different from the Muslim community killed in Quebec City. Not different from the people in Charlottesville who had somebody drive through and run someone down based on who they were the night before, holding up tiki torches. Jews will not replace us. You will not replace us. And it's very interesting that the murderers were talking about the great replacement as his manifesto. Read that to understand what we're facing. But in Charleston, South Carolina, 9 people, African Americans, at a historic church, shot down on a Wednesday night prayer service. It is absolutely true that the only thing for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. But I want you to know that your presence here is doing something. And I want you to know that we are right now talking about pulling together a task force to confront the hate crimes, Islamophobia, your support, and we need everything you have to make sure we have a safe, civil, and just community. And God bless you. Thank you very much.
When the bombing happened, and we referenced that because that's the connection we have with the incident that happened recently in New Zealand, and Allah put them in Jannah. We have allies and friends and neighbors show up. I want to talk about one of those allies that showed us what a true allyship means. He was new to the state. He came and was, we didn't know him and he didn't know us, but he knew what he had to stand up for. As we came to find out later that he was elected as the leader of the Minnesota Council of Churches, he came and he said one of those words that still rings in our heads. An attack on a mosque is an attack on a church and a synagogue and any place of worship. I want to welcome Reverend Curtis D. Young.
as communities of faith, saying no to hate. I also need to pay respects to my two legislators who are here, Representative Omar. Councilmember Jenkins. Two black women who made history this year, who are in many ways, when they stand up to speak truth, most vulnerable because of who they are and who they represent. That's why we're here together, to protect those who are vulnerable to the hate that is with us. Hate is here. Hate is here. We need to recognize that. Hate is here and we have to counter it. Today, I just ask us to leave this place more committed to counter hate. Call out not only for the faith, it's going to take more than just us as the faith community. So I invite government to join us, and I heard Attorney General Ellison say that he's ready to move on this. We need the philanthropic community to be with us. We need the corporate community to be with us. We need all of the community because this hate that's rooted in white supremacy has become a global terrorist movement, and it lives and exists in Minnesota until we counter it.
Again, when we were attacked, one of the first communities that showed up here were the Jewish community from St. Paul. And we want to thank them for being one of the first early responders to that. I want to The next speaker is from the Jewish community, and I want to welcome Rabbi Adam Spilker.
On this Sabbath day for the Jewish community, the day of holiness, rest, and joy, I join you after our community gathered for services this morning because I could be nowhere else. We need each other. I am coming from Mount Zion Temple, but I come here representing also many of my colleagues who are here, Rabbi Adler, Rabbi Zimmerman, Rabbi Latz, and I'm sure many others who have already joined, and many members of our community. I also come from a new effort called Minnesota Multi-Faith Network, which is trying to figure out how to harness the good feeling and the good will and the good actions of everyone in this room all across our state. I'm also here with Interfaith Response Network, faith leaders trying to figure out how to respond in the best way in moments like this. And I also come as a co-convener with Imam Asad Zaman of the Rabbi Imam Roundtable. We have been meeting for 8 years. Rabbis and imams to learn together about each other's faith, texts, and traditions, and just a few days ago, 13 of us were meeting to talk about current events. We focused our conversation on how white nationalism is fueled by anti-Semitism and hatred against Muslims and people of color and immigrants. We talked about the difference between white nationalism and white supremacy, though they are talked about interchangeably. White nationalism envisions a society freed from all others, whether killed or removed. White supremacy envisions a society where white people come first. All others are subservient. Yesterday, Rabbi Sharon Brous said, I want to be very clear that the attack in New Zealand was perpetrated in the name of an ideology, which is the cancer that threatens to destroy not only this country but our world. This cancer has wrapped itself around the spine of our own nation, which we now export willingly to anyone who will receive it. Friends, we live in a time where an individual fed with this ideology can wreak horror. It used to be that you had to be a king or a queen to have such power. Now, with an AR-15, a person can take away scores of lives, devastate a community, and impact literally the entire world. We need to understand how careful words of hateful ideology at the margins of our society move into careless words of implicit bias in the mainstream. Make no mistake, what happens at the margins impacts the mainstream. On this day, I could share words to counter such messages, words that Muslims and Jews share in our sacred texts, that if you kill one person, you've killed an entire universe. Save one person, save an entire universe. Ideas that elevate our spirits and our views of humanity. But what I really want to say is enough. For God's sake, enough. How much more pain can we endure? How many more vigils can we attend? How many more loved ones must be buried? I'd like to offer and end with this prayer. May the one God, known as Adonai and Allah, and other names of connection to the Infinite One, who blessed all of our ancestors in times of tranquility and trial, bring a healing embrace to a world shaken from terror, to families crying out from the loss of their loved ones. 49 souls, victims of hate, 49 souls, victims of gun violence, 49 souls, victims of a hatred of Muslims, of a white nationalist ideology, 49 souls taken from this earth too soon. Please, O God, usher these souls to your eternal embrace and peace, and heal our troubled hearts. Calm our understandable fears. Help us reach out for embrace as we seek an oasis of safety and security in a troubled world. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Next, I would like to welcome one of our imams. And I want to say this before I welcome him. It was about 10 years ago that when I was about to attend Hajj for the first time, after I got married, he was the imam that led my nikah, which is the engagement. And we were so happy that we were going to Hajj together. And with long story short, we were faced with structural Islamophobia. And it really hurts when it afflicts the leaders of the community that are forever standing to do positive work. I want to welcome, he's the Imam and the President of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq Islamic Center, Imam Sheikh Abdurrahman Sheikh Umar, to the stage. Please welcome him.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I thank the people who came together for this solidarity. to stand with the victims that happening in New Zealand. It touches me as an imam because I gave a lecture in the mosque that had been happening in the massacre. I've been there with that people. So I prayed in that mosque and gave a lecture on Friday and living for a time with them. So it touches me more than it touches you. So the solidarity is needed, not only those who are hated or harmed, but everybody needs at the time of his need. Imagine that you are the victim of the hate. Imagine that your children are the victims of the hate. Imagine your wife is the victim of a hate. So it's very painful. I want to share, I was 6th grade student in Africa, a small town in the west of Somalia. And in that small town, which is about 300 kilometers from the capital, Mogadishu, I had a teacher, a white teacher who came from Texas. He was my teacher in social studies. Him and another teacher were the only teachers in that town. They were the only two white that were in that town. And they were welcoming and living peacefully and respected in that society. After 30 or 40 years, I found him, I Googled, I went to the USA. He worked for the USA and came back to Somalia. And he worked in Somalia. I visited the USA here and I asked him, do you know someone that's called John Marcus? I remember his name, John Marcus. You know that, who worked for the USA. And they gave me his name. Yes, they said he retired. And this is his email and this is what. I sent him email. I said a student who's looking for his teacher. And he answered the email. Because where he lives, I said, I want where the student is. I live in Minnesota. Where are you? Can I see you? Can I find you? And he said, I'm in Minnesota. I'm in Waukesha, small town. I'm very distant. And I invited him in Minneapolis here. We ate together. His hair was black and his hair was, I have zero maybe. So, the hate, we have to fight the hate. Imagine that teacher who was alone in that town at that time. All the people were respecting him. No, he didn't have any bodyguard. He rented a small house in the town. I wish if he was here today. So we have to fight the hate, whatever it is. We have to fight the terror. Not only those who are victims, I wanted to, those who are not victims, now they have to stand with the victim people. Thank you so much and have a nice day.
Before when I brought up the Imam, I did not mention what was the structural racism, Islamophobia there. I was saying. What was it? The Imam was put on a no-fly list without no reason. I was also put on a no-fly list without any reason. And the only way I found out that I was taken out of the no-fly list when I heard that the Imam went to Chicago. And I said, well, I must be off the no-fly list now. And literally, honestly, it's sad to say this, but I went, got a ticket and flew to Chicago. For no reason, just to go see Chicago. And that is how I found out that I was off the no-fly list. These type of policies sometimes are biased, racist, Islamophobic, and are full of hate. And we have to recognize that. As Imam Asad said earlier, not on our watch. Thank you. For a few minutes, inshallah, we're going to switch gears. I'm going to bring back Muhammad Omar here to take us back on that journey.
If I can invite Yusra and Hikmah. So, as I started today, as we are standing and remembering those who lost their lives, we said our theme was, let's get to know, or let's see what were they doing when they were killed. They were reading this chapter in the Quran that we said is called the chapter of Cave, as Surah Al-Kahf. And we mentioned the first story. The chapter has 4 stories. The first story, as we said, is talking about those young men who are running away with their religion and seeking a place that they can have their own religion they can practice. So now the second story of the chapter, of this chapter, it's talking about 2 men who one of them God given money and God given wealth. He had 2 big gardens. And he's bragging and saying, God loves me because he gave me money. He said if God gave me money this poor, for sure he'll put me in the paradise because I'm a rich guy. I'm smart. And his friend reminded him saying, listen, God gave you to test you. It's not what you get, it's how you use. And I want to welcome Yusra and Hikmah to kind of recite in Arabic and also translate for us. And we chose our young sisters, young daughters, students, because their faith is public. They wear the hijab and they're facing every single day harassment, and they live in Muslim, walking Muslim. They're the receiving end of this hatred. So welcome Yusra and let me share with us.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واضرب لهم مثل الرجلين جعلنا لأحدهما جنتين من أعناب وحففناهما ودخل جنته وهو ظالم لنفسه قال ما أظن أن تبيد هذه أبدا وما أظن الساعة قائمة ولئن رددت إلى ربي لأجدن خيرا منها منقلبا قال له صاحبه وهو يحاوره أكفرت بالذي خلقك من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم سواك رجلا لكن هو الله ربي ولا أشرك بربي أحدا ولولا إذ دخلت جنتك قلت ما شاء الله لا قوة إلا بالله إن ترني أنا أقل منك مالا وولدا.
And present to them an example of two men. He granted to one of them 2 gardens of grapevines, surrounded by palm trees and placed between them fields of crops. Each of the 2 gardens produced its fruit and did not fall short in anything, and we caused the gush forth between them a river. And he had fruit, so he said to his companion, I am greater than you in wealth and have more people. And he entered his garden while he was unjust to himself. He said, I do not think that this will ever perish, and I do not think the day of judgment will occur. And even if I should be brought back to my Lord, I will surely get more than this. His companion said to him, have you disbelieved in He who created you from dust, and then from a sperm drop, and then proportioned you as a man? But as for me, He is God, my Lord, and I do not associate with my Lord anywhere. And why did you, when you entered your garden, not say, what God willed has occurred, and there is no power except in God?
So, a lesson we are taking from this story is whether you are rich or poor, He is the God, is the one who gave you or who chose to make you poor. So, claiming that the richness of yours came from your smartness or you have the right to be rich, that is what this story is talking about, and how that God is teaching us is the one who created us from nothing. We didn't have anyone, like nobody was born while he was a CEO of a corporate. We were born, we didn't even have a goal. We were like naked. So this is how these people who died, they were reflecting, sitting in the front line of this mosque, reading and reciting these verses that's teaching them how to be humble, teaching them a human being is valuable and very expensive because we are human beings, not because we own material or we have something over the other one. So this is how we want us to remember them, and this is what a Muslim person, when we come and go to Friday prayer, before the ceremony, these verses are the one we read, and we will have one more, maybe if I get time, and this is how I wanted to welcome our students, and I want to bring this young, beautiful future of this state and future of this country to see that they have allies and friends who will come the most difficult time and stand next to them. And thank you for you coming and listening and this is your
Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you. So, dear friends, I'm going to be very stingy with time. We're approaching. So, next speaker, I would like to welcome to the stage. She has made us all proud, and I just want to welcome Congresswoman, first Muslim Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar.
I've been thinking a lot about a picture and a story of one elder who passed away, who was taken. And I didn't get to watch the video, and I hope none of you really did. But he was captured saying, "Welcome, brother," to the person who will ultimately take his life. Because in Islam, we are taught to think of ourselves as one ummah. We are God's creation, regardless of who you are. Whether you are a Muslim or not, we believe that you are all God's children. So that is truly how we greet people, as brother and sister. And to many people who are not familiar with our culture, they're often confused. They ask us, is this your real brother, your real sister? But we always speak that way. And I thought about the pain that the neighbors and the families have to live with. Most of them either went to that mosque or said goodbye to that 49, and to that 49 they showed up to fulfill an obligatory prayer. And they didn't get to. And now their families and their neighbors are left to pray on them. And I think about the kind of sanctuary they were looking for, and how that will forever be changed. And I know that many communities of faith at one point or another have had that taken away from them. And I reflect back on something Imam Asad said. He was talking about the 10 levels. And I think he ended with dehumanization as number 10. But I put that as number 1. Because in many of our communities, it has become completely okay for people to say Muslims hate us, and for us not to flinch. It has become completely okay for people to say these people come from a faith or a culture or a background that demonizes the West. Those words were actually used to describe me and my views of the West. It has become completely okay for people to say they're scared of us, they fear us, and no one checks them. And so that is not step 10, that is step 1. Because what you fear is easy to eliminate. And so we become easily eliminated when people talk about how they fear us. So what I want to remind all of you is to not just talk about hate, but to talk about what the definition of hate is. The definition of hate truly begins with the dislike. It's of intolerance. It is of annoyance. It is of suspicion. So when you are suspicious of our intentions, our presence, our existence, you have begun the process of hating us. And you get to take the responsibility of changing that so that we can begin to open our hearts and embrace love and to think about what it means for us not to have those suspicions of our neighbors, to be curious and to have conversations with them, to think about what it means when they call you a brother and sister, and to hold them to that so that you can treat them as a brother and sister and they can treat you as such. So I always say love trumps hate, but it begins with each individual person. You can choose to have suspicions that ultimately become hate, or you can have an open heart, curiosity that develops into love. Thank you all for standing in solidarity with us. And let's commit ourselves to not just celebrate, but embracing love.
Next, I would like to welcome the House Majority Leader, Representative Melissa Hartman.
Good afternoon. It's such an honor for me to be here representing the Minnesota House of Representatives today. I woke up, like so many of you, devastated and heartbroken yesterday morning about the news from New Zealand that 49 people were taken from their loved ones in yet another senseless act of violence. Another senseless act of violence targeted at Muslims. We grieve with you today, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with our Muslim brothers and sisters today and every day. We have to stand against hatred, violence, Islamophobia, racism, and white supremacy in all its forms. But it's not enough to hate back. We can't give in to that. We cannot hate back. It's great to see so many people coming together in solidarity. Thank you so much. And in the face of this terrible tragedy, let us continue to work together for a more peaceful, loving, and kind world. Thank you.
Some of my more political experienced brothers and sisters told me the House is Speaker. Thank you. Next, I would like to call Representative Hodan Hassan to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. That translates into, to Allah we belong, and indeed to Him we shall return. I want to thank everyone who gathered here today for standing with the Muslim community worldwide as we make sense of this barbaric massacre of innocent lives slaughtered like animals as they perform a Friday prayer in their sacred space. I'm shaking because sometimes I feel numb and sometimes I feel angry. So I don't know which feeling I can choose. I feel outraged that 49 lives innocent lives, including children, were taken away. And many more are struggling for their lives as we speak. I feel angry that the 17-minute live stream of this happened on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and none of them did enough. 17 minutes, it took me 17 minutes to drive from Minneapolis to here. 17 minutes, live streaming the massacre. I feel a lot of fear that a tragedy like this may cause more harm to Muslims because copycats may try to take out another act of terrorism. I feel angry that the terrorists described Donald Trump as a new, renewed white identity. And I wonder, I'm not even there yet. Our world has been so out of order that our church, synagogue, and mosques became the target of terrorist attacks. Our schools aren't safe either. We have witnessed Parkland, Sandy Hook, and many more. Whether it's people praying, whether it's people at concert, or a class, or a school, terrorists have found a way to hurt us in the most vulnerable way, taking the innocent lives of children, women, men, elders, people who have gathered to just be with their Creator. Today, we stand with the Muslim community in New Zealand, and we send hope and prayer for the victims and their families. But that's not all. Today, we reject Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, racism, white supremacy. All forms of hate. Today, we can still hope in the many Muslims in Minnesota who are afraid to pray at their own mosques. Today we tell the hijabi sisters who are afraid to cross the street alone that you are safe here in Minnesota. Today we stand tall and be loud about our support and protection for minority communities, for faith-based groups that are targeted. And my last remarks are for Donald Trump. Dear Mr. Trump, as the world witnesses an increased attacks taken out by white nationalist men who see you as a hero, I want you to ponder over this. I hope you're proud of the world that you have created, a world full of chaos, hate, division, Islamophobia, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. I hope you are proud of your accomplishment. Thank you.
We will be ending the event in 5 to 7 minutes. As I was saying earlier, I'm acting as the good news today. I want to share an action that has touched our hearts, that is connected to the recent attacks that happened. Friday morning, I got a call from Sheriff Dave Hutch. To ask me, how are you guys doing in the mosque? What can we do? And to share with me what are some of the things that they're doing around the community. I want to recognize this moment. Our law enforcement, the police, the sheriff, they have stepped up to a level where everyone in the community, after Friday prayers, we're talking about that. Yes, and also the Bloomington Police and the Homeland Security also came. And I just want to say, with you all, please say thank you to them. Thank you. So the last couple of speakers, so I want to also recognize an important leader in our community who has become a representative now. We are so proud. Please help me welcome Representative Hamud Noor.
Assalamu alaikum. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in New Zealand. And we pray for all the victims and their families and those who are sick to heal. This tragedy brings people together. We should always believe that we can fight back against any form of hatred. Because we all one community, no matter where we live, and especially in a place of worship, a sacred place should never ever be targeted by hatred. The leaders in this room and outside and everywhere in the world, we all need to know this. The words that we speak, the actions we take, they matter. With that, we must speak up. We must stand together. We must fight back racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism. Every form of hatred is not welcome, and together we shall win. Thank you so much.
Oftentimes when tragedies like this happen, we tend to forget there is a large community that lives with us as adults. We forget the children and how they're affected and how they see the world, because this is our future. And they are also experiencing what we are doing with us. So I would like to welcome Zahra and Selma to share with us something.
As we may all know, on March 14th, right before Friday's prayer in New Zealand, 49 of our Muslim brothers and sisters were murdered in cold blood. This is an act of terrorism. This is not a man with mental illness, not a man with a bad childhood, but a terrorist who terrorized a group of innocent people just because of their religion. Mosques, synagogues, and churches are meant to be safe havens where people go to feel at peace. And we can't even have that anymore. This incident has opened the eyes of many people around the world. This is not the only event where Muslims have felt threatened or have been oppressed. It can go from as little as a Muslim woman getting her hijab pulled off, or as extreme as Muslims being put in concentration camps.
As some of you may know, we've had our very own incident right in this building. 2 years ago, one of our teachers was in the building while it was being bombed. This incident has affected our community tremendously, and it still has. Many Muslims around the world are being oppressed right now. China is murdering Muslims and putting them in concentration camps. Israel is murdering Muslims. Afghanistan has been in a war for at least 18 years. Syria is still in a war for 8 years. There's a hunger famine in Yemen. Buddhists are killing Muslims in Kashmir. Muslims have never been perpetrators, but always are the victims, and yet we're labeled as terrorists. Me being a young Muslim woman in this country, the solidarity event feels very welcoming and beautiful. You see this unity. I wish it didn't take an absolute tragic disaster for us to come together like this.
In a time of sadness, the Quran has always been known to comfort us. I would like to share the translation of one of my favorite ayahs from Surah Al-Iman, Surah Al-Imran. And never think of Allah as dead, rather, And never think of those who have been killed in the cause of Allah as dead, rather they are alive with their Lord receiving provision.
All right, we have come to the end. I would like to call now Imam Hassan Jama, who's the executive director of Ayana, and who played an instrumental role in inviting officials and inviting people into this event. And I want him to thank you on behalf of the Muslim community. Imam Hassan Jama.
بسم الله الحمد لله ثم الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Indeed, we all belong to Allah and we shall return to Him. My role is to thank you. This is Allah to us. We are witness, and our children and our community are watching. You are with us. This is really it's big deal for us today. And Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Man sana'a ilaykum ma'rufan fakafi'uh." Whoever does a good for you, they back. So we will remember you and we will thank you. I know and I remember it was short notice, but elected officials, faith leaders, community, neighbors, official law enforcement, and everybody here, thank you so much. Let me leave. This is my message to you, and it's a portion of the prophetic word. Our Prophet Muhammad gave an example that good people who has God consciousness and doing the right and stopping the wrongdoings. He gave us an example, a group of people who ride a boat, and the boat has 2 floors, and the water is the bottom floor, the lower deck. When the people, the water is the upper deck, and the people right in the bottom, when they need the water, they want to go upstairs and to get the water. And one of them said, "Why are we bothering our brothers upstairs? Let's get the water from the sea. Let's make a hole." And the Prophet said, if they cannot stop, they will all destroy. If they stop that person and say no, they will all survive. We are together. We are here and we are all together, and we need to stop the hate. Any form of hate, we need to stop together. Are we ready to stop? Yes. Are we together? Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you guys so much. We're gonna have one of our elders make dua for us, which is a supplication. Before we do that, please, there was some sign-in sheets and some that was going around. Please leave us some of your contacts so we can connect with you later. So I want to welcome Dr. Hamdi Sawab to the stage to close the meeting for us and to make dua for us. And then we can go.
In the name of Allah, Almighty, the most gracious and most merciful, I would love to greet all of you, with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God Almighty upon all of you. We are thankful and grateful to Allah Almighty and to all of you today, being together, united, and in solidarity with all of us. Thank you. Thank you. It's time now for supplication and prayer. So let's pray. For those who were killed in New Zealand, our Lord, shower them with your mercy and forgiveness. Grant them paradise in al-Firdaus al-A'la مع الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا. Our Lord, let them be in the company of those in whom, in the grace of God, of the prophets who teach, the sincere lovers of truth, the witnesses who testify, and the righteous who do good. Our Lord, what a beautiful fellowship is. Our Lord, grant their families, relatives, friends, and our communities steadfast comfort and tranquility. Our Lord, we believe that وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِندَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. Think not of those who are slain in God's way as dead. No, they live, finding their sustenance in the presence of the Lord. Our Lord, help us to put our trust on you. وَمَا لَنَا أَلَّا نَتَوَكَّلَ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَقَدْ هَدَانَا رَسُولَنَا وَلَنَصْبِرَنَّ عَلَى مَا آذَيْتُمُونَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُتَوَكِّلُونَ. No reason have we why we should not put our trust in God. And instead, He has guided us to the ways we follow. We shall certainly bear with patience, and those who hurt us, we forgive them, and you forgive them, because we're ready to face all of them with peace and tranquility and united and solidarity. Our Lord, help us to understand and abide by the following. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. All who believe, seek help with patience, perseverance, and prayer. For God is with those who patiently persevere. Our God, guide us too. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. And say not of those who are slain in the way of God, they are dead. No, they are living, though we persevere not. Oh Lord, we have been tested. Help us to pass this test. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Be sure we shall test you with something of fear and hunger, some loss in goods or life, or the fruits of your toil. But give glad tidings to those who patiently persevere. Who they are, Lord? الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Who say, when afflicted with calamity, to God we belong, and to Him is our return. Who are they? أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. They are those in whom descend blessings from God and mercy, and they are the ones they receive guidance. Our Lord, accept our supplication and prayer. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. In what soul does God place a burden greater than it can bear? It gets every good that it earns, and it suffers every ill that it earns. Our Lord, condemn us not if we forget or fall into error. Our Lord, lay not on us a burden like that which you did lay on them before us. Our Lord, lay not on us a burden greater than we have strength to bear. Blot out our sins and grant us forgiveness. Have mercy on us. Forgiveness on us. You are our protector. Help us against those who stand against faith. Amen. Peace be upon all of you. Thank you.